The most recent gun ban that's going through Congress, and I don't believe will make it through the Senate, but we are only one election away from that changing. I want to take a moment and talk about the grandfather law, this idea, because historically, and this is the problem with American bans today, is most people don't look at the history of it and what has taken place in the past. And they panic, and every single time there's talk of a gun ban through politics, there's a mass return or a trade, somebody just bringing that gun to the gun shop and wanting to sell it, trade it, something like that, because they panic, they want to get rid of it. But the reality is there's a lot that revolves around these grandfather clause that ultimately makes that, getting rid of that gun, a major, major mistake. So what I want to take a look at is what is going on with this grandfather clause of this new gun ban. Again, I don't think it'll go through, but we are only one election away from it being very, very possible. So what is going on with this gun ban? Well, or the grandfathering of these gun bans. Let's start with the way that it is written in this particular ban is if you own anything that's listed on that ban, and it's a daunting list. I will put the link below, look through it. It lists brands, model numbers. I mean, it lists everything to the detail of what would be banned. And it's almost every single gun made that is magazine fed, semi-automatic, pretty much, unless it's a bolt rifle or a revolver. And some pump action shotguns are not included on the list. But other than that, pretty much everything else is, other than, and rimfire is another one. So what happens with this grandfather clause? Well, historically, and what's written within that, is what takes place is if you own one of these guns prior to the ban, it's grandfathered in. You can continue to own that gun. Will there be a registration process? I don't know. What we've seen so far is yes and no. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Most of the time that they do require the registration of it, people don't follow through, and there's court cases just zinging everywhere, and ultimately they do not require the registration of that firearm. And it also depends on your state as well. Here in Missouri, no, I do not believe I will have to register any of those guns if they are banned by the federal government. Now, with that being said, I can still keep them legally. I can keep them. I can hold them. I can use them. I can take them out and defend myself with them or hunt with them or whatever the case may be. I can use those guns. I can own those guns. I just can't sell those guns. And if I do sell them, I have to sell them to an FFL that has the licensing to take in those kind of weapons. So, for example, if I have a fully automatic rifle, now that I can't own that right now, unless it was grandfathered in. And possibly some people do own some of those that have been grandfathered in. Now, and they're worth a fortune if you do. But if I wanted to sell it, I can't just sell it to you, and I just can't sell it to my neighbor, and I just can't sell it to any old FFL. I have to sell it to an FFL that is qualified and has the licensing for that type of gun. So there's kind of where you run into, you can sell it, you just can only sell it to certain people. But other than that, that's really kind of the basics of it. It's a little more complicated than that, but generally speaking, if you own any of those guns that could potentially be banned, you can keep them. Don't panic and get rid of them. Let them be grandfathered in. Avoid registration of them. Even if they tell you they have to, just keep avoiding it. Keep avoiding it. Let time go by. Let all those lawsuits go through. And then ultimately what you're going to have is you're going to have a gun that you can legally own that is worth a fortune. So there you go. Any thoughts or insight? Just don't get rid of them when those bans start coming around. But any thoughts or insight, put that below. Would like to take a moment, say most people watch this channel, they're not subscribers to the channel. Please take a moment, hit that subscribe button. It greatly increases the algorithm, our ability to get these messages out. That link is below. But by far, the most important part of this channel, we take prayer requests. So please don't ever hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. As always, love God, love your family, and love guns.